Mr. Neely, can victims of racism also be race soldiers? Because I'm quite confused about what do we call the victims of racism with the gun and the badge.
No. That's
Thank you.
That's why I invented that term, race soldier. A race soldier has to be white, because a black person cannot be a racist in the system of white supremacy. That's why. So when I say race, black people are not even members of a race. We were told we were members of a race. Told by whom? The white supremacists. They invented that mess. They are members of a race, and the only members. Race is racism. That's in the textbook for victims of white supremacy. When you say that you're a member of a race, that's what you're saying. You believe in racism. And what is racism? Mistreating people based on color. That's all it's good for. It's not good for nothing else. You can't name anything else that it's good for, being a member of a race, other than to practice racism. And racism means mistreatment. By definition, that's what racism is, based on color. So black people are victims of racism. So a law enforcement officer, that's what you call all of them, because they're enforcing laws of some type, whether the laws are laws that should exist or shouldn't exist. But only a white person can be a race soldier, and a race soldier cannot be a police officer. That's why that's in the textbook. To not confuse police officers with race soldiers. A race soldier is a racist pretending to be a police officer. It's impossible for a race soldier to be a police officer, even though you have many, 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 many imposters.
Yes.
If a white man has got on a uniform that says he's a police officer and he believes in practicing racism, he is a phony. He's a race soldier. He's an imposter. But you can't call him that because the white supremacists won't go along with it. So what do? According to the code, you call him suspected race soldier. And we should start using that term so that we don't get them confused with police officers. There are many people. A police officer, first of all, is what? Because I've been to police school. I went to police school in Brunswick, Georgia, back in the 1980s. And I didn't get a chance to answer a question that the instructor held up his hand, because the instructor held up his hand. The instructor, rather, said, anybody who wants to answer this question can answer it. And he says, what's the first requirement of a police officer? What should be the first requirement? So I held up my hand, but he didn't call on me, so I never got a chance to say it. But what I was going to say, if he had called on me, was the first requirement to be a police officer is to have the correct intentions. If you go in there with any intention other than producing justice, you ain't going to qualify to be a police officer. I don't care how many qualifications you got on paper. Arrest procedures, you know how to chase cars, you know how to do this and do that. If you go in there with the incorrect intentions, you should be disqualified right out of the gate. And if you have the intentions of doing anything racial, which means mistreating somebody based on color, you shouldn't even be allowed around a police station nowhere except as a prisoner.